Hey, hello, welcome. I once again gathered a bunch of news and found games that would launch, games which would end, and everything in between. Have fun, this has been the week, and this is the Cooldown. Marvel Rivals is online. The free-to-play Overwatch with Marvel characters is having a way better day than Concord at least. With just short of 500k players on Steam alone, this game might have one of the most successful starts when it comes to recent-ish free-to-play titles. After the genre has been declared dead for a while because some recent hero shooters just managed semi-good numbers or have been completely abandoned really fast. And on top of all that, the last Avengers game has been doing catastrophically not good. Spider-Man and Thor now show how all these theories are trash. Even with a lot of inconspicuous glancing over to Camp Blizzard, Rivals managed a great start and probably doesn't need to worry for a while. The game itself, meanwhile, did steal a bit of the most annoying, but also some of the best ideas of monetization practices from other games. The Battle Pass is limitless, meaning if you buy it, you keep it. And you can take all the time in the world to unlock everything if you want to. Also, all heroes are straight up playable from the start. That said, for non-premium players, there's only little to unlock it seems. You don't get experience or whatever just for playing, and the free things in the pass are not really enticing at all. Costumes and variants are only available for hard cash, at least for now. It is planned to give out some for events or similar occasions though. But mainly the game is just plain fun to play and it's doing its job really well. Rivals is free to get now on PC and consoles. Have fun! Also, after a long wait, the early access version of Path of Exile 2 finally launched. Known as the Diablo-like with a 20-page skill tree, the action RPG is currently within the top 5 played games on Steam. Despite a $30 entry fee for early access players, the game has similar user numbers to Rivals, and about 500,000 players seem to be absolutely ready for some monster hack and slash. Sadly, they did the same to the game's servers on launch and both game and website could not make it through the day. While players who bought the game on Grinding Gear Games website are generally fine, Steam players had a bit of an issue and couldn't log into the game at all. Grinding Gear's plan to combine account unlocks and the general opening of the doors to the game was courageous and didn't quite pan out in the end. But after a good 4 to 5 hours, most issues were dealt with and players could log in. Of course, there still have been a bunch of general server issues, crashes and other issues and frustrated players, but that's generally what to expect from a new MMO launch, regardless of how prepared a dev says they are beforehand. Anyway, Path of Exile 2 is now available on early access. Like I said, it goes for $30 and upwards, but will eventually go free to play after it properly launches, which according to GGG should be in a year or so. Also available for free, the like button under this video. I'm absolutely depending on all y'all, so if you enjoy this show, please consider liking the video. If you don't want to miss episodes, you might even ring the bell and do all those YouTube things. You know better than I what I'm talking about, so do whatever you like, if you like to. Foamstars had a much worse day compared to the games we already talked about. Square Enix's Splatoon copycat with Bubbles and Foam will have its last season update on December 13. After that, that's that, with actual updates and improvements. Square Enix is saying that this update should take care of some gameplay improvements and the online services should stay online after. Also, they are planning to do some Foamstars Cups, in-game tournaments so to say, plus some old already dusty season passes are ripped out of the closet and put back into the game, to make things a bit more exciting for whatever player base remains. Foamstars just started this year in February, first as a PS Plus only game, then transformed relatively quickly into a regular premium title, only to be changed again into a free-to-play game. Now it looks like none of these changes could save the game and reach a substantial amount of fans, so we'll have to wait and see how long this new version of Foamstars will last. Wanderstop has a release date. The narrative-focused cozy game is the new project of Ivy Road, the studio behind Davy Redden from Stanley Parable fame, Carla Simonia previously from Gone Home, and C418 coming from Minecraft. Not at all like any of the previous games, there's no hidden cursed story planned, but a simple cozy game about selling tea. It's not only supposed to be fun, but also should help in stressful situations like burnout or general hopelessness. And it would love to give players an ounce of hope and calm whenever they need it. The player looks good, the game will officially launch on March 11, 2025. As if things around games journalism aren't already bad enough, Future Publishing, company behind Edge Magazine, Games Radar, PC Gamer, Tom's Guide, Retro Gamer, Metal Hammer and way too many others, confirms a new partnership with OpenAI. The artificial intelligence company will get unlimited access to all published articles, images and other content, meaning to improve the ChatGPT experience. Future CEO and current millionaire John Steinberg explains how this partnership should allow the company to create global communities and expand its engaged audience even more. And I slowly believe CEOs themselves are wholly AI generated, just going by their talks. This deal of course doesn't take into account, or generally care for, what authors, creatives and writers employed by Future's outlet have to say about the AI-based usage of their words. And that's exactly the general mood around all of this on social media as well. Workers from Future Publishing aren't super happy about it. Many insiders call this move short-sighted and self-destructive. I'll just hope all of Future's writers and employees will see a little bit of a raise and or better life through this mess in the end, but somehow I highly doubt it. Reuters got some news about Ubisoft. The sword of Damocles of getting thrown out of the company because of shares shenanigans has been hanging over the Guillemot's family heads for a while now. While they still are main shareholder of the family-led company, owning 15% of shares themselves, things might get a bit dicey. That's why the Guillemots now are in more talks with Tencent, who also own about 10% of the company and... no pun intended. And our second largest shareholder, and some other smaller parties to finance a management-led buyout. But the plan's not going as smoothly as it could be. While the Guillemots want to keep control over the company Ubisoft, Tencent didn't really decide yet if they would join in the first place. They also want to have a bigger say on decisions and executive things, and that's precisely what the Guillemot family doesn't want to share. Both parties, however, are in agreement to not wanting one thing, which is a hostile takeover from other investors. This might absolutely be a valid fear, since for a while now, other shareholders have been quietly or not so quietly talking about privatization or even selling Ubisoft wholesale, if they could. Further delays of titles like Assassin's Creed or shutdowns of other games like Xdefiant don't really help the Guillemot's case here, and in the end everything's possible. It's just a question of finding a common ground for Guillemot's and Tencent. Oh wait, he just said Xdefiant will be shut down? Well, yes. The live service shooter will close its servers, and I'm sure absolutely nobody could have seen that coming at all. The decision was made due to low player numbers and a much lower cash flow from the game than anticipated. No one's playing, no one's paying. And of course this once again will lead to further layoffs at Ubisoft. This time their San Francisco studios are on the chopping block. Insiders expect about 280 people to lose their jobs. Xdefiant's dev team never was quite happy with the game. There have been complaints and frustrations since launch, mostly regarding studio management who didn't want to take responsibilities for negative things surrounding the game. And the general opinion described how a better studio culture and less micromanagement could have led to a far better game and a far better studio work. Xdefiant is planned to shut down on June 25th after the current Season 3 has ended. No words yet about refunds for cosmetics and similar paid items yet. This is something Ubisoft wants to communicate later. Where was I? Brandon Green, mostly known as, well, Player Unknown, talked to Eurogamer about 3 new projects forming a 3-game plan. These are Prologue, Go Way Back, Preface, Undiscovered World, and Project Artemis. Seems like Green's naming idea still could use some work. Prologue is a single-player open-world survival game and should come out around spring 2025 in early access. The second project, Preface, is already available as a demo on Steam. As Green says, to give players an early look on its innovative technology, which also should power the upcoming other games in the series. Thing is, it's currently stuck in a swamp of mostly negative reviews, but at least it's free, so go ahead and check it out if you like to. Apparently it's some sort of machine learning based game with a whole planet being generated in real time using AI or whatever. Then there's Project Artemis, and there's not really much more to know about it, yet Green's saying his vision for the game is challenging and it's based on the 2 other titles. So let's see. Once again, in Game Awards news, it seems like Geoff really doesn't want me to do an episode without mentioning his name somehow. So, Andy Robertson, founder of VideoGameChronicle.com and pretty networked up within the industry, teased this year's awards to be very big, which is a quote. He encourages people to, as he says it, fire up the hype train, and according to him, it's definitely not an assumption. Does all of this actually mean anything? Nobody knows, but feel free to post down in the comments what you think this could mean personally. Blaze's Evercade, an arcade handheld system always just flying a bit under everyone's radar, has made more and more deals with studios and publishers over the years to bring single retro games or whole collections to the cartridge-based platform. After Bandai Namco or Jaleco, they now struck a deal with SNK for a new partnership with Evercade. Licensed game products and physical game releases are already in the works. Blaze's CEO Andrew Byett says, "This partnership is about more than just great games. It's about celebrating the art and history of Neo Geo in a way that's fun for both old and new fans." Evercade is getting more and more interesting, I'll have to admit. The first releases together with SNK aren't fully known yet, but are planned for 2025 and 2026. According to Insider Gaming, there's new rumors about a new and standalone gaming console from Steam of all things. If various rumors and findings of various data miners are to be believed, Steam is currently working on a new console system under the name of Fremont, together with new iterations of the Steam controller and a new VR headset. A mix-up with the dock or similar hardware seems unlikely because the plans seem to incorporate a full connected HDMI port, the type of port usually known to be built into TV-focused consoles or desktop computers, not relying on a separate GPU with its own HDMI. Other findings as well, specifically regarding development environments, of which I personally understand little to nothing, seem to point towards this. Valve itself of course didn't confirm anything, and it absolutely wouldn't be the first time for tech rumors leading towards completely wrong directions, so please take this with a huge grain of salt. But that said, the 10-year anniversary of Steam's last attempt at something similar, namely to establish Steam machines, brought us the Steam controller, so who knows. EA released a lot of patents working towards accessibility and made them available without any hassle for both the public and other studios to incorporate them into their work. We're mainly talking about gameplay-based help for players, be it for difficulty reasons, communicational, visual or hearing issues, or limited capabilities to control a game with common controls and hardware. These are being used more and more, so EA wants to do good deeds and promises their patents are not to be restricted for usage and are completely available for others if they improve game quality for players. EA previously also freed similar patents, for example the ping system made famous by Apex Legends, which allows players without speech or complex control inputs to inform other players of certain situations within a running game. December will now add a dynamic language recognition system, which would be able to change music or gameplay due to voice, age or language of a player, as well as an Unreal Engine plugin called Iris, which automatically lets developers know if situations in their game might trigger seizures. Kotaku is reporting the US ban of TikTok just entered its next phase. If ByteDance, the Chinese conglomerate behind the social media app, won't give up control of the platform until January 19. After a recent new appeal by ByteDance, which got rejected on Friday, TikTok's situation doesn't look great. A speaker already announced another appeal in front of the Supreme Court is already planned. Upcoming everyone's favorite president, Donald Duck, also wants to save TikTok, whatever that means, and will probably do his best, which isn't much, to help TikTok's case. The most recent court order once again mentions an overall fear of TikTok in the name of China collecting American citizens' data, which is supposedly reason for a ban or wholesale of the company to defend the country of an adversarial power. Darrington Press publishes a new pen and paper system named Daggerheart. Darrington is publishing actual play show Critical Role as well, so it's not a surprise to see Dungeon Master Matt Mercer of said Critical Role's crew being the mastermind behind the Daggerheart system. It's strongly based on Mercer's adventures within the show, which then are strongly based on good old Dungeons and Dragons. It's a whole thing. The tabletop RPG is supposed to come out in spring, and it wants to bring Critical Role's family adventuring based dynamics into a narrative driven D12 system. Its core rule set brings with it a rulebook and card decks for character creation, and also is available as a limited edition with a tiny little Game Master screen and a beautiful box for your cards. The game itself is somewhat similar to D&D 5th edition, but a lot more complex. Instead of just using a D20, you're using 2D12, so everything works a bit different. A critical hit, for example, wouldn't be the highest dice number, but rolling the same number on both dice. The damage system won't just use a rather obscure concept of life, but also takes emotional stress into consideration. Both dice represent fear and hope, and so on. Daggerheart sounds super interesting, but don't hope for some sort of easy mode D&D, that's very likely not what this is. If you're interested, the game can now be pre-ordered for $60, respective $150 for the limited edition. Also, Mercer teased a bit more stuff in an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, most importantly, that video game plans are on the horizon, and an announcement can be expected as early as end of this year. Or maybe beginning of 2025. What exactly the man's planning though, he won't just tell yet. For the next Crunchyroll Anime Awards in 2025, Crunchyroll announced a bunch of new things to happen. Sadly though, this isn't about a sometimes weird selection of titles and winners, it's more about organizational stuff. The period for animes in consideration has been extended from October 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024, so the award selection should cover 5 full seasons of anime and not misses a season that would have been ignored otherwise. After that, the award will take animes from January 1st to December 31st from each upcoming year into account. Also, there's new categories, namely Best Isekai and Best Hindi Voice Artist. The nominees will be announced on April 3rd, and that date will also mark the start of fan voting for all 32 categories. As usual, the nominees will be judged by a team of influencers, creatives and Crunchyroll proclaimed experts, so one of the biggest points of criticism regarding the awards remains unchanged. And we're at the beginning of a new month, so once again here's my very short list of upcoming game releases that piqued my interest and might be worth a look. Here we go. Yesterday, December 12th, Magenta Horizon by Madison Beak, a very cool looking hack and slash game with an amazing art style. December 9th, obviously Indiana Jones and the Great Circle by Machine Games, featuring Todd Howard, but also Paper Perjury by Paper Cat Games, a Phoenix Wright inspired mystery puzzle visual novel. December 10th, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remaster on all platforms, and the last 3 by Putnai Chaba, a nice looking 2.5D puzzle platformer. December 11th, Swordhaven Iron Conspiracy from Atom Team, reminding me a lot of good old classic Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale games. November 16th, Neko Odyssey, a very cool looking pixel art adventure anime game by Secret Character. And On Your Tail, the fairy adventure with quite nice looking 3D visuals and chill design. 17th, Savage Levels Pirate Hex strategy role-playing game Flint, Treasure of Oblivion. December 20th, Half Away, a Zelda-ish indie adventure by Better Half Team with a neat cartoon art style, and another pixel action RPG called Fountains by John Pywell. Then there's the 31st with Rabbit Hall, a super cute gardening adventure, and Taco War, a collectible card game with big old mechs, also carried by a really good looking art style. You can say about December what you want, it's certainly looking nice this year. Alright, that's it. Have a great next week. Don't forget to sub, write something nice into the comments if you want to. I'll see you again next week with a new cooldown, and until then, take care and stay caring. Bye. After that, that's that. After that, After that, that's... After that... The period for animes in consideration has been extended from October 1st, 23 to December 31st, 24. 24th?